A wonderful afternoon again to the ladies and gentlemen and everything in between out there. This is now our second match for today. We're in Veteran from Russia will be fighting against FERVID, which is the opponent that's been defeated by Execration yesterday. So this might be a really good test for Veteran here, but FERVID, I do think that they've already cemented themselves in our standings. So there is a high possibility that it won't be affecting the outcome at all, and Fervid will be sure or certain to power through against Veteran just basing on their look right now, heading on to playoffs.
Honestly, Mochi, a win here for Veteran will be absolutely impressive, and it will definitely show the form of Fervid heading into playoffs. So a lot of teams will be absolutely noticing this, and it will be a good advantage point for some other teams that will be able to compete against Fervid when the time comes for playoffs. But yeah, Veteran, the closest that we saw them absolutely demolish a team was a huge effort here for both Twentism and EV9 as they went toe-to-toe against Atras Esports with a potential 9-5 scoreline. That they were one round away for finishing it off, but turntables here for the side of Veteran, and they were not able to close it out in 13-9 fashion. So sadly for Veteran, that was the closest that we saw them, but after that it was just a full-on demolishing from any other team like Virtus Pro as well from yesterday. So they enter into the series with a whole lot to prove up against FERVID. That Veteran is still a team that do belong to the league, and for FERVID to win in a 2-0 fashion will be nothing new. Absolutely will do nothing in terms of the plot that we have right now in Seamaster Summer, but at least we'll be enjoying some amazing gameplay here for A7J and D. But another detail here for FERVID is I feel like they'll still be playing Hodge for the starting lineup here in place of MZ. So we'll be seeing 2 games of Hodge in the group stage, but I feel like Hodge will now be a mainstay, possibly into the playoffs. I feel that is a possibility here for FERVID.
Yes, and I do think that we're just using the same template as earlier, Salvatore. It's just a matter of how far can Veteran go against Fervid, especially that we already have Fires here in the team once again, and we do see some really good performances from EV9 and as well as Twentism. And yesterday, one of their maps, Reknart actually top fragged. So I do think that Veteran is having quite of a fair growth that we're having here, but still a bit too slow in comparison to our other teams who are just continuously grinding forward. But right now we do seem like or appear here for our players that their focus is in the game and they are ready to exit this with a bang.
Right now, saying hello to the viewers out there. Joan, shout out to you with a finger heart. And I feel like this is the form of Veteran that we are really known for. No, Mochi, because their impression was definitely, Fires can headshot. Shock can definitely do some calls, but
yes,
you're not aware that Twentism and EB9 can definitely frag out of their mind because those prior games was definitely something that we could remember for. But Reknart yesterday did leave a lasting impression inside of Eagle Eye against Virtus Pro, so that could be a factor wherein he could be the one that would be leading the charts here for Veteran up against FERVID, who are essentially 4 attackers built into one team. You have like A7J, D, Dracifer, or even Hodge in the mix of trying to be the best attacker inside of the lobby.
And we also have quite of an insider here from Reknart, where the question is, what can you say about your Master Summer experience to your team's performance and fans? Well, Reknart answered that for this Master Summer, our team hasn't even won, but we will try in the last week of this season. And again, know where to go but forward, right? Which is entirely what we're seeing here from Reknart, and with all of the spirits and soul that we're having right now here from Veteran, it does appear, and we appreciate a lot all of the growth and as well as the intelligence that they've been able to accumulate throughout this group stage. But let us now talk about FERVID, which again, same template, same thing, still another day. A usual here for FERVID to play in this lobby, especially that we have we have MZ here in the mix, but might possibly Hatch later on, but still with the young guns on this one and the cross with our former or older generations here, well, we can definitely see that Fervid is having quite a very, very great journey so far here in summer.
I guess you could say, Bochi, with the experience that they have in fighting off against very established teams, they're the regulars now because you've been seeing them always every day in the office, 24/7, Monday to Sunday. They've been looping this amount of skill that they have,
Yes.
and yeah, I feel like that has been the identity here for Vin. I feel like they're just showing a bit of emotion, outside of their competitive spirit that we've been always seeing for them for the past few days that they have been in competition. So this might just be like a tune-up game, warm up, something like a practice, like aim training for Fervid. So the personalities we're seeing right now, finally, there is some light at the faces of Fervid. But there was darkness yesterday inside of New Mexico. But today is a different day for Fervid as they enter as they enter the series with Veteran rather, with a smile on their face because I feel like they've already cemented their spot in the playoffs. But there's a difference here, Mochi. I feel like they still had the title of contenders way back in Master Spring. But right now, I feel like with the level of CROSSFIRE right now, we might say that Fervid might have taken a dip in the contender sort of title. They might just be like the dark horses now because of like the recent performances they had with Stallions and as well as Virtus Pro, plus dropping a whole series against Acceptance. So I feel like Fervid now wants to reignite that contender title once again with a W against Veteran and probably a good first round up with any other team that could be facing against Fervid.
True, and this also like a bit of an opportunity for them to actually experiment more heading to our playoffs. But here from A7J, we have a question for him. Going into the last week is still the same. What's the mindset going forward? Well, his answer is that they are staying focused and not getting complacent, which is such a nice quality to have, by the way. And their goal is to finish the group stage strong, keep building momentum, and be in the best possible position for the playoffs. And we highly agree, and that is definitely a good point to move on here for A7J alongside with the team. And I do hope that there will be this foolproof strategy or at least a contingency plan here heading to our playoffs of what will happen if our young guns who are definitely fragging will be put onto pressure, because that is exactly what they suffered upon from their last losses from our match history. But I wonder who are the players who will be appearing here in our head-to-head. So I guess it will be EV9 and as well as MZ.
Okay, so pretty odd head-to-head considering that we would not be seeing MZ later on.
Yeah.
But EV9 is still someone that could be pairing up against MZ theoretically, Mochi. There is going to be a series where we see both MZ and EV9. I feel like we have a highlight here for both EV9 and MZ because they both are backups. EV9 is somewhat lethal in terms of his own role, becoming like the second point of entry. But for MZ, he's like that one player that ignites the passion for his teammates to play better. So they do have like the comparison that is kind of different, but when it comes to impact, I feel like that's where we draw the line of similarities here for EV9 and MZ. But yeah, somehow similar in terms of numbers, but different in product that they bring out for their respective teams.
True. And speaking of product, let us see which factory will this be made in as we head on to our map veto and see which will be the priority picks and bans here for both of our teams. As right now, sub base will definitely be chosen here by Veteran against Fervid, by the way. And we also have Black Widow, which has been chosen still by Fervid. And seems like they really are hugging and placing Black Widow close to their hearts. And we have Ankara as our decider.
Veteran, we had the choice. It was Ankara or Port. How did we land on subbase? Like, did we just actually wheel of names the possible map that we could go for number one? There is a possibility. Yes, there is this somewhat of like a confidence pick here for Veteran, but using your confidence against a team that is associated with the map subbase could mean doom here for Veteran. But we admire their humbleness and as well as their ambitiousness that they could go toe to toe against a Fervid inside of subbase. But there is still something that there's still like a glaring factor here, Bochi, that sub base cannot go well when you're facing against a Cebuano team, and a lot of teams really did learn the hard way, kind of like execration versus acceptance, Mochi, and Fervid versus Team Stallions is also a very good example. But Veteran, we admire what they had. What they had in them. Feel like their system is oozing of confidence right now to have a sub base as their first map. That's something admirable here for the side of Veteran.
Yeah, and at the same time, we can definitely acknowledge that if our opposition actually plays great and the best in the map that we're choosing, and which map that we're also confident on, then maybe rather just choose that type of gamble rather than moving in a map that they're not that used to play on, so also I do think that it's time for us to show our predictions, and I do think it is still gonna be the same trend of 2-0s all across the board here in favor for FERVID, but at the same time we do acknowledge that there are high chances that Veteran might be garnering a lot more rounds in comparison to how much they've been able to rack up before.
So nothing much imported here on our predictions. I feel like the stats, the numbers, the dominance, and their performance really do speak a lot instead of like explaining it all thoroughly. So yeah, FERVID still has that oomph in them that they can definitely defeat Veteran. But opening the conversation that Veteran is a capable team for upsets, that right there is a very good thing to open up for the series.
And I guess here for our community polls, we have some Veteran believers, and might as well add me, Salvatore, Ramon, Bipolar, Frog, L, D-Dome, everyone here from our talent, just for the sake of moral support here. And I guess I do think that here for Veteran, they have better chances in this one. I just hope that they'll make us a bit closer than in comparison to what we have for Taring Babi earlier on. Hopefully, and I guess it's just right for us to welcome our casters here on our desk, because we'll be discussing further regarding this matter on our hands. So let us welcome Daydum and Ramon in here. So hello, Ramon, and as well as Daydum. How is it going so far, and any thoughts with the current matchup that we have, Ramon?
Yeah, I kind of do agree with Salvatore, right? FERVID are in a tune-up match right now. They're looking to kind of, heat up the hot hands that they could have in the playoffs. And for Veteran, I feel like the goal is set, right? Get on with it. Go at it with us right now. See if we're going to put up a fight, and hopefully we do get a good fight up from Veteran. We've seen that possibility come out in the Atras game, but it didn't really take the same effect again. So will Lightning strike twice for Veteran? I don't think so. FERVID really have this in the bag.
I do think that is indeed the case here, but how about you, Dadum?
Pretty excited for this matchup actually, Mochi, because if you look at things in the grand scheme, FERVID coming into the group stage late with a swap in the roster is kind of a weird move considering the momentum that they have. And when you take a look at the map, Vito, this is actually the only, or rather the second time that we're just seeing FERVID in Black Widow. It's weird to say that, given a lot of the teams do love playing that Black Widow. So it's kind of a transitionary period for FERVID with a new player coming in, and it's in a map that we haven't really seen a lot of them on. The one time we see FERVID here, they lost. So I say, Veteran, you have a great chance at this point. You can catch FERVID off guard.
Can't help but to second that statement as well, considering that MZ has been like quite of a catalyst here for some of our players here in FERVID, and then now that he is gone, well, it's all up to Haj how he'll be able to step up to the occasion. But now we definitely have some things to point out here, and let us start with different places, same goal, because FERVID finished 4th during our spring league, but all of a sudden they're underdogs now, Salvatore.
I feel like that is something that FERVID really did not bring up to themselves, because the competition just got really better in terms of the long term here for FERVID. With that addition of J-Kim, I feel like everyone just ignited their eyes that, oh, this team is definitely a contender. They can defeat Team Stallions once and for all, and they just managed to dip their performance inside of playoffs. But right now, because of that, they still had that contender title in them. But right now, entering into the playoffs, it feels kind of different right now, Mochi, because there isn't really anything important now for the side of FERVID other than the fact that there is a roster scramble right now. Execration just defeated Stallions and Virtus Pro. They were like one set away for defeating Team Stallions, and now they just lost to Acceptance. So with that, Mochi, I feel like now the contender title might have taken to a downward spiral right now. They're now the underdogs for a reason because everyone is looking towards Stallions, Virtus Pro, even CBF, for goodness sake, that they could possibly go to Paris, but none have said FERVID for quite a majority of our community. But FERVID, despite that, a lot of people will do bank on the statement that despite you being underrated, there is still some dog in them, and they might just overthrow everyone's opinion and qualify for the EWC spot, Mochi.
Yep, indeed. And I feel like it's also I feel like we can compare it to like pets. Just speaking of underdogs or dogs in general, right? In terms of zoomies, they're having the least activity, I guess, in comparison to the other teams that we have here in our standings. And I do think that there is another case in point in here wherein we can definitely highlight here the difference of spring and as well as summer, because here there is 379 kills alongside with 253 headshots here for D initially, but right now there's just 256 total kills with 181 headshot kills, Ramon, wherein I feel like we've already been able to point this out before with the current adjustments in terms of roles and responsibilities here for D. This impacted his statistics greatly.
And it's not only because of him individually, right? I think we underestimate the amount of change that FERVID has brought with the MZ player coming in when we started the summer season. They finally have somebody who could be a selfless entry for D, like somebody who could enable his stars, his attackers. We already have a lot of those in the FERVID roster anyway, so you don't really need one more to add up into that mix. So that's kind of the thing that fulfilled the spot for MZ at that point. But now there's been a bit of an adjustment for D now that he's also gone. There's also been a sort of question on if his consistency is also going to hold up in the long term. So far, the answer has been yes, but the playoffs haven't started yet for D right now. So for him to be able to maintain this momentum coming into the playoffs, it's a good thing for D. He's still our future. He's still somebody who can pack up against the best here in SEA. And hopefully the future is still bright for D. I'm pretty sure that these numbers don't really reflect how good of a ceiling this guy is.
Yeah, that is true. And I feel like the impact that he's been able to do here in the team is definitely quite of a different story in comparison to the numbers that we have here in our headlines right now. But I am glad that this point landed on today, though, because he's been able to actually point out the possible advantages that Veteran may rack up so far. Because the question here is, can Veteran hold the line here? Especially that right now they're on the 6th place of our playoffs and Veteran is a bit on the lower part of it.
To answer your question straight, I think no. Honestly, I mean, given the fact that Veteran have been struggling in Masters, it's kind of an understatement here, Mochi. I mean, all things considered, yes, they have improved. Yes, they've shown us that they can, move faster in terms of adapting to the meta than their Rosea brothers. They still are kind of a ways off. I mean, even up against teams that are fresh here in the Master stage, up against Acceptance, and for example, Atras, where they got close for one map, but then they got absolutely demolished in another. I think Veteran is Veteran are facing a completely different beast in FERVID, even with the new addition, even with the transitionary phase I was talking about. I think it's a no for me.
Yeah, I feel like we can definitely just point this over in like an Attack on Titan moment, and how far would the Titans actually reach inside the capital here? It's FERVID, the Titans, and Veteran, just the common neighborhood is trying their best in order to, shove them off in that perimeter of things. But I do think that our battlefield is definitely ready. So let us now throw it over to our casters, Ramon and as well as Dedong. Retrahan na!
Thank you so much, Mochi and Salvatore. To open up the matchup between Veteran and FERVID, the metaphor is definitely accurate. For the longest time, FERVID has already placed themselves as one of the organizations that is synonymous to the CFS title as well, right? So with that experience, it definitely is going to help. But not only help, right? It's going to be a green light for them to dominate all over Veteran. And considering this is also their last game, they could pick a lot of good things coming out of this experience, Tatum.
Absolutely, and I love the way they are taking this match with a mentality of securing playoffs, securing that top 6. I mean, yes, we already pointed out earlier with Salvatore that no matter how this matchup sort of comes out, FERVID are practically secured of that top 6 spot. FERVID, they need to think otherwise. They need to challenge themselves and kind of put a lot of perspective into how important every single matchup is, including this one. I mean, Veteran, all things considered, they are on the up, and they do have a chance to surprise us today. And for Vid, the map veto shows to me that they're taking this matchup seriously. Ramon, if you remember the one map that Veteran was almost able to win against Atras Esports, that was Eagle Eye. And if you take a look at the map veto for Vid, the one map that they ban is Eagle Eye. It seems like they don't want to take that chance.
Of course, right? I mean, it's kind of in the vein of trying to respect any opponent, whether it's an Stallions sort of setup or it is a veteran at the end of the day, right? With full respect to veteran, of course, individually, they're still very talented players in the field of Rosea, but in here, in the SCA Master scene, they definitely are in a different level right now. But to consider your point, yes, it is definitely FERVID that is putting on a performance level coming into the matchup. With now that being said, we're going to be heading straight into the sub-base map, the map pick of Veteran coming into enemy territory. Let's listen to the comps.
Aku masuk. Keluar. Maju. Satu dong.
Lawan. Midul dong. Uy, gogo. DR. Isa sa wana, isa sa CR. Simba ako.
Language.
Dong!
What a contrast of comms there between Veteran and FERVID. We're gonna pretend we didn't hear anything, but Twintism makes his TRG known. Dracifer trades it out with EV9 on the other side of the map. And it's a 1-for-1 exchange, but so far, Ace Sight is impenetrable from Veteran.
He has so because of the one shot coming through from Twintism. Shock as well, not too far behind. We'll take the frag onto the dropping Lance. They're getting a little bit too aggressive on the side of FERVID as they already got themselves at Ace side. 3v3. They're already considering the flank. Reknar's already right behind them.
C4 getting planted down as Dre holds down Woods. A7J coming in with a double. And FERVID with a quick first round. Love to see the energy from Veteran though. They were hype up from the get-go, trying to be proactive off the map, but even with the early picks, Ramon, they couldn't recover.
They pretty much noted the aggressive positions coming out for FERVID, the drop in towards the stairs position as well as the drop from that vent spot. They have done their homework. The homework is different from the performance level that we're experiencing right now. Shaka on the kill on D. Getting a bit too proactive, a little too aggressive towards the Woods position. 4 versus 5. And a bit of a reset for FERVID. You definitely cannot underestimate the hold from Veteran right now.
You know what, Ramon? I can see that Veteran actually did their homework. 2 times in a row, D has been picked off, and I don't think that's a coincidence, but neither is Hodge's flash. From A7J, Hodge with the entry onto 2F, finds a couple, and A7J finds the third. Lance actually getting found out, but doesn't go down. Twintism barely surviving that encounter, comes back in for a second dip, and that is a very bad idea, Twintism. FERVID 2-0.
If crossfire rounds were determined through first bloods, we could have definitely given that to Veteran, but the mid-rounding from FERVID as well as the plan to come in towards that LR position has been a big pivotal moment in that round. Definitely good on Hadge as well, very much aggressive in trying to take down those duels. And this time it's going to be punished very early on. Drone's going to expect them out. Lance on the shot. FERVID get themselves into A site even without the C4 in their hands. It is all a done deal with Lance on the shot on second mid. Jones is down as well. The EV9 and 1v4. I don't think he has any say about this. Dracifer confirms that. Another round for FERVID.
And it is as quick as it can get here, Ramon. Just like that, we already 3-0 in favor of FERVID. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Veteran are finding these early picks. They done their homework, yes, but what about what comes next? They need to be able to translate more out of those kills. Make a bit of space. EV9 trying to do just that.
Flash coming in, and FERVID putting the disrespect into EV9. You could do your homework, but what if you got a gun to your face? There's nothing that you can do about that, Veteran. They got themselves the plant coming through over towards the B site. And it's a 2 versus 5. Veteran have to play catch up again.
And Veteran, they weren't expecting the adjustment from FERVID there. They were trying to find the early contact, but not expecting the flash and the early peek from Haj. By the way, that's already been a setup done from the first 2 rounds. Veteran, I would hope that they catch that already, but they did not. Instead, being the ones to get caught D in a Mexican standoff here in Woods. As he will move first, and Shock will be quick to punish. But Lance, how do you see Shock? I don't want to talk about it. Twintesim will be left all alone to shut down the enemy sniper, but he's all alone. And time is a ticking, and there goes the bomb. FERVID, 4 on the board. I love this, actually. Haj looking good from the get-go, providing entry. And it's working out for FERVID. Look good.
Especially with how late he's actually come into the table in the group stage as well. And one of the question marks I've had when I saw the FERVID versus Execration game yesterday is how Haj is gonna fare up individually, right? And just after the series, the answers have been the questions have been answered, because individually there is no problem with Haj. With a 1.19 KD, he's put up a solid performance in his debut in the summer stage. But the big question is, because of the Haj entry, now it becomes another adjustment period on the side of FERVID. Because if you realize it, A7J has been filling up the MZ roles in their GR side. Sometimes D now has to sacrifice himself to kind of get that forward entry on their BL side as well. So I think FERVID, they might have pulled a mad trick up their sleeve coming into the playoffs. And I also think that this is also the best time for them to do it, considering the situation that they put in Haj in this Veteran matchup. Because if you take a look at that, right, no problems whatsoever individually for Haj. You just have to clean up the macro, and I think it's going to be a good deal for FERVID.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if it would have been a better idea to delay the roster move to this match instead of the Execration one, right? But make do with what we have, and FERVID actually doing really well with what they have. And Haj fitting the bill really, really well. I mean, for the most part, the story for FERVID has been change, has been adaptation. And they started off the season really well in Swiss stage. If you remember, Ramon, they went undefeated in the qualifier.
Oh, yeah.
But then facing a lot of trials and tribulations here in the group stage have somewhat put them in a bit of a slump at this conjuncture. But, you know, it's always time to recover, especially now they have a couple of weeks or a couple of days at least to practice before the playoffs. And FERVID really have to make the most out of that. It's a good thing that we see Haj finding his identity already in FERVID. And A7J just giving him a bit of cushion. So FERVID, can they make this new formula work? That's what matters here for FERVID.
Definitely a challenge coming through for A7J, as he now has to make Haj as comfortable as possible. Coming into the playoffs and coming into the side of the stairs position. They're already coming into the east side. Reknart and Twintism. A good flash delays FERVID, but they're going to rush in anyway.
I like the setup, actually. Reknart taking very reserved spot to just back up Twintism in case the execute does happen. But this leaves them a little bit vulnerable from CR. And here comes the push. Twintism able to find one, but that is it. Twintism only gets the one. Shock comes in to shut down the Vents player, and Dracifer to make it doable for Veteran despite Shock making an impact. That's a flash from A7J to buy a bit of time, but the bomb is not planted yet.
The setup's good for Veteran, and the response coming through from Shock was well noted. They already taken down the CR Lurk, as well as take pieces off of FERVID, but they have to make this flank work as well. A7J get cross on one, and Dracifer is just gonna cancel out the trade. FERVID make it 5-0, and despite the good setups for Veteran, you really can't deny the talent coming through from FERVID.
And again, it's the mid-rounding to make the difference there, right, Ramon? A7J finding the recovery kills, and then the angle to catch the Veteran retake off guard. 5-0, Veteran already losing in terms of the lead here in the first half. And Dracifer is just gonna make more of a headache for the veteran roster as he picks up a kill onto one. Twintis and finds a trade, but that is all they write for now. EV9 has got nothing to say as FERVID pick up their 6.
I mean, I like it coming through from veteran. They tried to invest 2 players on CR to try to catch the defense player. And if they do actually do the same stairs push on the way towards A, they would have had a stacked defense. But in response, FERVID are throwing magic in towards this matchup. That's D with 3 kills. And this is the demonation that we're looking out for. Make it for 4D. My God, the Terminator for FERVID is here to stay and play.
Ramon, did you see that? No flash, no problem. He's gonna spin a flick onto the heads of veteran. He finds 4th kills just like that. As Shock hopes to make his own demon play. Let's see. Shock pushing. Okay, what a nice flick onto Lance, and EV9 doing exactly that as well. Veteran actually making things impossible for FERVID as A7J will be left all alone. Hold up, Veteran's about to win a round. Could be a little bit late in the game, but better late than never.
Better one than nothing, as we kind of see from a veteran with the effort that they've had. You could see that the FERVID actually tried to speed things up with the same kind of strat that they pulled out in the previous round, where you had a passage play. They also had somebody come up from that woods position, and when he didn't have that info, he kind of just stuck between the gate position to try to get that kill from the sniper. And then once everybody comes out from the MR side, that's when veteran had that double setup coming through on LR. Gun on drones as well as for the side of EV9 to try to stop them in their tracks. Now leaves it all up to A7J. Spots out Reknart, but a lot of damage done onto A7J himself. Put a huge question mark in this clutch moment. EV9 gets a bullet to the head. Hold on. Veteran are giving 1v1s to A7J. Goes back towards safety, but it's still numbers down.
Still gets the 3rd kill. A7J, hold up. This is possible. That's the 4th. And he finally gets taken down. And look at the sense of relief from the faces of veteran. They were scared, Ramon, I could tell. And I think that really showcases just how big of a gap there is between teams like FERVID and teams like veteran. And you can never count out these players from FERVID, especially in a map like Subway. A7J's got this map written on the back of his hand as D tries to control second mid, pushing up. Spots out drones, takes him out. Reknart is up next.
Jesus.
And D is just a demon again. Shock will be answering back finally for veteran.
That'll be what we expected from D. He's putting up the numbers, but Shock and EV9 are making this interesting until one huge boom says goodnight to Shock to leave it all to EV9, and he's already running around the world to see if he can get an entry back in towards the site. 1 versus 2, faced up against Angelito, but A7J will deny EV9 from ever thinking about the clutch. 8-1 for FERVID. It's a gentleman's sweep. They gave 1 to veteran.
Yeah, I know that's kind of disrespectful to say, but it kind of feels like that too. And when you take a look at the performance, A7J, man, he's looking real sharp today, hitting every single shot. No matter the stakes or the smokes, he still gets the bullets in. And scoreboard reflects it. Actually, the most kills in the game so far, despite the clip farming that D is doing. A7J is actually out-fragging his little brother in this 8-1 affair. I mean, I give veteran a lot of props for their boldness in picking a map like Subbase, right? This is their favorite map, so it makes sense to me, Ramon, why they would love to pick a map like this. But for Vid, this is kind of like their playground. I mean, when you talk about the match days from A7J, this was his signature map.
Yes.
He's showing us just why.
We're picking up A7J and matches. I'll let everybody tell you what the next map is, right? Black Widow. And if this was... if a sub-base was A7J's playground, then what do you call Black Widow for A7J, right? Especially during the matches days. Definitely putting veteran in hell, I would say, in the first 2 maps of play. But now I think with the swap of sides, maybe veteran could exactly put the tempo that they want, right? Because considering that FERVID have been on BL, they were the ones forcing out the fights. But I'm wondering how fast FERVID are going to do this, right? I mean, we've already seen the pushes coming out on towards both LR as well as the passage position on BL. What if they do the exact same thing on the GR side?
And they could. I mean, you saw these pathing earlier, right? Through Metal into an MR and Vents flick a 180, by the way, to get a triple kill. And then to find a fourth after that. I mean, it's definitely within the inventory here of Fervid, but it all depends on how well they're feeling here today. And going back into the topic of our map veto, right? I mean, yes, it's Black Widow. It's a map that A7J is without a doubt comfortable in. And it's the same thing I could say for the rest of the Fervid roster. But I would actually view this map as more of a grinding map, in the sense that it's where Fervid tries to sharpen up their Black Widow. Because again, we've barely seen this map played from them, only seen it once, and yes, they dropped that map against, sure, it's Execration, but still, it's not the cleanest of maps, I would say, for Fervid. I would make this maybe a top 4 map for Fervid, possibly even top 3. But Black Widow definitely needs a bit of polishing, if anything here for Fervid. It's kind of getting a little bit rusty from them. No disrespect to Fervid. I mean, given the competition of Execration, it definitely is a hard matchup. But from yesterday, I could definitely see some lapses that needs a bit of working on. I'm not sure if it's Veteran that's the best team to do that against, but some reps is always a good idea for Fervid. And again, it goes back to the topic of Veteran having that opportunity to catch them off guard, if I say so. So yeah, I mean, as far as map vetoes go, it's could be worse here for Veteran. For the map number 2, I would actually have favored Fervid going to Ankara for set numbers 2 instead of Black Widow. But Black Widow, it's what they decided to pick on, so I wanted to see what the plan is for A7J.
Yeah, I see the logic, right? I mean, you go back to your roots from A7J, how he's been trying to play around this map during the match test days and make it easier for you to kind of set Haj in as the new man coming into the starting lineup. I can see the sort of logic right here, right? And definitely could make or break for Fervid and their chances towards the playoffs. They view Black Widow sort of as a map where they could try to make it a contender map, especially because BO5s are going to be opened up. We're going to be seeing more maps come into play. We're going to be gone with the Eagle Eyes and Ankaras and on the ports that we are seeing. We can see more coming out through for anybody playing in the playoffs right now. So I guess it's the initiative for Fervid to kind of just open that up to see if they can kind of use that as sort of a pocket pick up against a lot of the teams coming into the top 6 as well. So it's very much a respectful choice coming in. And to your kind of perspective on whether or not Veteran is the perfect choice to kind of practice their Black Widow on, I'd say yes. I think it's going to be an interesting way to kind of test the limits in between how they can work around a lot of the power positions in a Black Widow, mainly the S position, mainly the HB. If they're going to be trusting Haj in the positions where MZ has been playing before on that Black Widow map, if there was any, or if I may say, or maybe just make sure that Haj is prepared well enough for the playoffs. That Black Widow is a map that he's been playing on before time and time again. So it's a lot of questions up in the air that will be answered later on, as we're taking a bit of time before we come into the sub-base game shortly, right? So I think I'm going to take this time to welcome everybody back into the stream. Hello. This is a pretty nice matchup to see, right? If Fervid are going to be coming into the playoffs, is this the kind of form that we expect to contend up against the SDSs, up against the Fervids? Because with this kind of roster change, I believe another adjustment period could be a good sign or a bad sign. Either way, it's a change for Fervid, right, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, I was really liking Fervid when MZ came in. I mean,
yeah,
me too. I can't understate just how much of an impact it was for Fervid, right? MZ was kind of like the perfect fit. And it's a shame we won't get to see just how well that sort of roster will bloom into in the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, it's a shame, but you know, Haj has been performing really, really well. Credit to him, right? I mean, just a couple of days into the roster, and he fits already so good, finding his identity, as we said, and it's still looking pretty good. I mean, I would say the chances for Fervid reaching the top echelons of the playoffs is a little bit lower than what we started off with here in Masters, but still there. It's absolutely still evident, right? And I think with a player as talented as Haj is, they definitely could have sort of a good start and kind of hit the ground running here in the playoffs. But yeah, again, some of those questions will be answered as we head into those matches that really will cement the playoff standing, and of course cement who the top 2 is going to be. A lot of talk has been going on as to who really sits at the top. Is it really still VP and STS? Is it Execration? Or maybe it's something like Team Acceptance that is gonna take the stage by storm here. Ramon, bear with me here. Listen to what I'm about to say. They took
I'm
down
listening.
STS, which could be an anomaly. It could also not be an anomaly. And if that is the case, Acceptance have a chance to, take Paris by storm.
Hey, I'm not saying there isn't, right? And we all saw the group stage game, and we definitely cannot deny how the official has went for Team Acceptance. They have improved steadily as the group has progressed. They definitely have integrated Dre very well into the lineup, and I believe he could be a shining force in the later stages of the playoffs. If he actually reaches the semis, I feel like he's gonna be somebody that we have never expected to kind of shine just like that. But it's pretty early to tell, especially since we haven't really started on the playoffs. Team Acceptance, you would do well to kind of see if we kind of put them above anybody else in the top 6. Truly, maybe quarters, they could have a close game, maybe possibly get towards the game number 5, but hopefully we do get there, because all eyes on you. Heck, I feel like the future is bright for Ting and Dre with you on your shoulders, right? But for now, we're still coming into the game. I believe Veteran is doing the best that they can to kind of reconnect back into this. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Sub base is still well and high for the chances for FERVID as well as for the side of Veteran. But to shift the conversation now into outside of the FERVID spectrum, I want to talk a little bit about Rosea at the moment, right? So we've seen Veteran, we've seen Taring Babi. There's been a lot of good glimpses for 2 of these teams all throughout the summer season. But lo and behold, nothing much has changed other than the fact that yes, they have cleaned up a lot of their micro decisions. There have been good plays coming through from individual players, kind of like from Fires, kind of like from Shock as well, from Veteran. And TB from El Campe later on. Earlier today, we actually saw that he could put up a number coming through over to their first team or first player coming through in Execration. Do you believe that if Rosea gets even more tournaments, even more reps to play outside of the Masters spectrum, that they could actually get a chance to get up to the Masters level? What do you think about this data?
Outside of the Master Spectrum, not really. Inside of the Master Spectrum, absolutely, right? I mean, when you take a look at progress in Crossfire in general, it takes time. I mean, remember the first time when we saw STS and then SGJ go into the international stage for the first time, and then Ubek Maniac actually, and it took a bit of time for us to get used to the way they play internationally. I mean, yes, we brought our own identity, but even up against the Vietnam teams or Brazilian teams, we're kind of struggling at first, right? So it takes time. It takes years actually to catch up to the meta, especially in a new environment. So I would give a bit of leeway for Rosea actually. This is only their first year, all things considered, being integrated into the PH meta and the Rosea as a region in general. But Lan's already starting this strong with a kill. D will be neutralized in MR before finding one, so that is a 7J spot, and EV9 finally makes a presence known here in Subbase. So does Reknard and Twentism. It's all up to Hodge. Let's see what you can do.
The 6-man has to become the 6th threat, and he has to have 6th sense to kind of clean up Veteran in towards the push coming down on towards A site. Plant comes down for Twintism, and Hodge, he respects this. Good shots, but not enough onto Reknard. As he did not expect how close Reknard was in his position. 2 rounds coming through for Veteran.
Actually, a very good start here on the BL side, and we were expecting a lot of aggression from FERVID. Ramon, they did pull that, and Veteran showing exactly what you do in that scenario. They hold, but this time so does FERVID, and so does Luns. And EV9 just gets spammed by the TRG, not expecting the early spam out from the sniper. And that's a lesson for you, EV9. Don't push too quick.
Even with a smoke, right? I mean, false sense of security, as demonstrated in the round. Lance picking up that frag will slow things down for Veteran. Is Fantism. And taking his opportunity at the lurking sniper. But A7J has other ideas, even being the one to lurk upon Twintism. Not even giving him a chance to touch this LR position. 3 versus 4. And Veteran Where's the game plan, right? I mean, you got the insurance policy out the window. You're also caught between the passage position as well as mid. Shock pushing into Hodge, and Hodge takes that every single day of the week. Reknard expected by Lance on the position. 1 versus 4 for Drones, but even he cannot carry the momentum of Veteran as Lance picks up the 3K.
Yeah, and that, I think, exposes the problem here for Veteran. The moment a couple of players do go down, their mid-rounding just sort of disappears here. Each and every player playing for themselves, Shock pushing, sort of looking blindfolded. And here we go again, Lance getting challenged, and Shock pushing without a flash, and he's just gonna go down! Veteran, the plans disappeared! They're just challenging the enemy sniper. Drone's getting pushed, and he will find a duel.
Hold on.
But he is just gonna go down, even with the push. A7J's just gonna close it off with a quick, easy double. And FERVID with a quick and cool 10 rounds, they take sub-base.
And they're using Lance as their security guard to secure up the flank all the way around the woods position. A FERVID that are not having fun. They're here to take a huge business out of the side of Veteran right now. He well played the sub base for them, and securing the sub base in a fashion just like that kind of just cements that FERVID really are taking this very, very seriously, putting a lot of respect into Veteran, their potential to actually get individual frags coming through from the woods position as well as on the side of passage. I mean, we saw that from EV9 as well as on the side of Drones as well. He's been putting out good numbers coming through on the side of Veteran as we speak. And, you know, to put respect into the name of Veteran, they've actually had times where they got into the site pretty quickly, so well played to them on the BL side. But all out from start to finish, FERVID really had this sub-base game in the bag. From Luntz hitting a lot of his shots as well as neutralizing the pressure that Veteran have been doing around that LR position. It kind of seemed like from the start this was a complete solid coming through from FERVID.
Absolutely. And Veteran, they're kind of exposed after this match, right? I mean, in the round where they got picked off here by Lance, they just kind of fumbled a little bit, losing control of their players and even going as far as pushing without utilities. The worst thing you could do, especially up against a team like FERVID that not only has good macro and good setups, they also have phenomenal aim. I mean, you gotta remember this is D and Lance and the likes of A7J we're talking about. So if you're just gonna push them blind in a map like sub-base, they are going to win those duels 100%. So you can never have sort of no plans going into a map like sub-base, and I think that really is the problem here for Veteran, is they kind of lose heat in chaotic situations, which is the opposite of the Cebuano mentality, which is like thrive in the chaos, find kills in the chaos, push the smoke, challenge the smoke even, and push whenever you are backed up behind the corner, just rush out and find as many kills as possible. Veteran, they kind of falter in the opposite sense of what that is, and it really is exposed in maps or in teams like FERVID, like matches for example, or perhaps even teams like Team Acceptance, where they get a lot of these scenarios that is chaotic, and Veteran just kind of falter off. So still a lot of polishing due here for Veteran. And this is one good start or good place to start with. If they watch this map over and over again, they could see just where they kind of crumble and start off of that, clean up the mistakes.
Especially since they're going to be coming into the regional playoffs as well with or the regional finals with their own qualifier again, and hopefully with Veteran being a constant face in the Rosea qualifiers, we're going to be coming at this stronger for the side of Veteran. But for now, FERVID take this sub base very much decisively, ending it that with a 1-0. And before we head on into the second set, we're going to be throwing it over to the panel to quickly dissect how FERVID have put destruction on the name of Veteran.
Thank you so much to the DR tandem. There were no DRs that round, only ones, so congratulations. But other than that, it does appear here that for FERVID against Veteran, well, I would like to dissect this, honestly, Salvatore, but at the same time, I feel like this is just regular programming for them. Other than the fact that here for Veteran, I feel like they can learn a thing or two in terms of patience.
I can't believe we say the word regular and a 7-0 start here for FERVID as if they're doing that in a day-to-day basis. But I can assure you, they had a handful of very good starts inside of sub-base. Remember the Team Stallion series, Mochi? They definitely had the time of their lives, and it really translated and it transferred a lot of the macros that were thrown out at that game to what it is now, to what we have up against Veteran, because Veteran with a huge challenge mentality wherein every angle should be challenged, every angle should be cleared. And whereas FERVID, with their macro that they have, of course they will be willing to fight because, D and A7J lives and dies in the battlefield. Hodge is igniting the headshot charts here with his amazing shots. So, of course, it will be very much, initiated by fights like Reknart and as well as Drone. So, it is that valid for Veteran to be able to do so because on both ends, GR and BL, you want that security that it will be a 4v5 instantly. It's FERVID, man. Come on. Like, despite it being a 4v5, like a 5v4, they're able to recover that. Look at the rounds where A7J just maniacally gets these headshots as if he's 100 HP, And some of the fights like Tracifer and as well as Lens are having the time of their lives just getting these kills so easily. So, the trades, despite it, being like Veteran, I feel like they'll be able to win these fights. They'll be able to have these amazing setups. But man, oh man, like FERVID, they're not playing GR in the second half. They're playing like insane people. Pushing truck, pushing gate, pushing as well as second mid, as if they're playing BL, trying to take space because they don't want Veteran to plant. Those are maniacs inside of sub base, Moji, and you gotta give props to where FERVID. You gotta give props to FERVID because they made it look like it's a smart move.
Literally just all over the place for a good reason here for FERVID, definitely. But just by looking at our set summary here as well, A7J has been able to just show what he's definitely made of with 7 headshots out of 16 kills and 100% rating. And everyone here definitely been able to show what they're made of here against a Veteran. And I feel like this is already close as we have expected. And still props though for Shock, because as much as we saw some moments where Shock is having difficulty at certain occasions, regardless of who their opposition might be, having quite low in terms of rating. Well, right now he's been able to actually perform quite great here in the map of Subbase. And another additional thing here that I've also observed from Veteran is the fact that they no longer leave any corners unchecked, which I think is a really good sign, because they're a bit more careful and wary about the whereabouts of our members here from FERVID for this sub-base map. So again, some glimpses of growth and improvement, but in terms of results basis in terms of the maps, I feel like we are yet to see just that. But who is delivering? It is A7J with a 4.0 KD, 0.6 S per round, and we also have 100 rating coming in from the IGL himself.
We have a 3-day stretch wherein the IGLs are taking the spotlights up against these attackers and backups. We have, KLB standouts, KLR doing the same thing, and now A7J. So these are regulars on the set MVP hit list because they're just that amazing and making the calls and making the good shots. So you saw A7J, you saw his potential, you saw his insane macro that he had, you saw how his rotations were definitely detrimental to what Veteran wanted for the game itself. But A7J just had to ruin the party here for Veteran. I feel like it was a whole lot of credit here for A7J to have that 7-0 start. So props to him for being the set MVP with a whopping 4.0 KD. So A7J, props to you, my friend.
Yeah, and it definitely just shows that despite them having fun, they still have their structure in check, and it's been very well shown here by S7J. And right now our sub-base map is finally finished, and here for Veteran, we are still yet to see what will be the totality and the improvements turns the rounds that we will be able to take for our next one after we see and after our quick short break, basically. Welcome once again to our current match, that is Veteran against FERVID Esports. We're in earlier on we saw them being able to contest in sub-base. Unfortunately, it didn't lead them too far. It's a 10-2, but right now Black Widow will be the map at our hands, and it's been chosen by FERVID, which it seems like Salvatore, when we head on to playoffs, there will be more picks and priorities for Black Widow in our map veto. I feel like we can expect that.
I feel like there's this overconfidence for the teams that they have this like natural ability to play Black Widow because you know, being Filipino, you're born to play Black Widow. So a lot of teams really do overlook this in the best of 3 manner. So I kind of understand like a lot of teams will be prioritizing Black Widow when it comes to BO5 now. But for Vid and as well as Atras, honestly, you know, the past few days, they've been prioritizing not Eagle Eye, not Ankara, not even New Compound, but honestly, Black Widow is definitely a surprise here for Vid. So I feel like they're now trying to put that elevation to notice for a lot of teams because they've been picking Black Widow as like a chance for them to, you know, guys, this is our map. You will not be able to pick this. This is going to be something that will be reminded of everyone. So Veteran, you will be entering Black Widow. I hope that you guys have played a handful of pub games in your lives, that you know how familiar a lot of Filipinos and as well as Filipino pro teams are inside of Black Widow. So a lot of aggressive fights I'm expecting here, Mochi, especially on the S side. So for Veteran, they need to be careful because they have to utilize a double sniper here for at least 20 or EV9.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes down into BL side here for Veteran, that might be quite of a struggle for them. And I do think that this will be quite of a interesting time for them to experiment and see what approaches they can do with a hybrid of being pub-like and pro-like. So I do think that's also a fascinating point as well. And I do think that our lobby's ready and our casters are surely ready. So let us hand it over to Tatum and as well as Ramon.
Thank you so much, Mochi and Salvatore. We're definitely ready to come into Black Widow as quickly as possible, with this being the map pick of Fervid. There are some question marks on whether this is a way for them to integrate Haj as early as possible, picking this back-to-back in the best of 3 series that they've had in the group stage. But this is Veteran just looking to see if they can just cushion the blow that they're going to be facing up against Fervid right now. So are we going to be seeing the fast-paced tempo that we're going to be expecting out of Fervid, fully knowing the opponent that they're facing on the opposition? Or will we just be the standard push coming through for Fervid? Because in my eyes, I feel like in the execution game, it was a display of how disciplined they could be in holding down the lanes, bro.
I think it's going to be a combination of both here, Ramon. I think Fervid first going to try the default route, and then once they get a feel of things and get comfortable like they did in sub base, they're just going to push. I mean, we saw D, we saw A7J pushing over and over again. We saw Lance with a couple of nasty shots on the hold. I would imagine some tear positions here, perhaps get a lot of control in even the GR side, which is particularly where the Fervid roster is going to be starting in. So Veteran have a chance to challenge Fervid, so to speak, in these angles, and perhaps, again, I say this for the 3rd time today, catch them off guard. But this is Black Widow. But first off, let's listen to how the comms are gonna go here, Ramon, in Black Widow.
Ready guys?
Ada
Passing.
gudang.
Passing.
Pintu gudang. Mati.
But this is a radio silent coming through from the side of Fervid because they know what to do. A sniper on Haj. This is something new for the Fervid makes it is 3 for Haj to try to contest up against Veteran. They get 2 in response, but Dracifer on the flank has already gotten Twintism in a chokehold. 1-0 for Fervid.
And there's more snipers coming. D will be shot down by drones, but it's okay. There's 3 more. There's 4 more in the roster of Fervid. And my god, we haven't seen this ever since Aris was playing in Impact. 5 snipers in the roster of Fervid. And it is back, Ramon, but it is not working. Oh.
This is what they wished for. Unfortunately from them, sometimes their wishes are not going to be in good contest. That's going to be 1 for Haj. But you can kind of help but feel that that's the only pick that they could have. Haj stuck on that window spot. Twintism's going to take him down. It's all down to just Dracifer in a 1v4. And Veteran, they got good luck on their side. Unless Dracifer can turn that around, make it 2 for him. Spotted Reknar on the short position. And he has to wrap around the train spot, but Twintism makes it 2 in a row. And finally, Veteran get the breakthrough they're looking for.
I thought we were going to see Haj on a completely different role this time around. Not particularly sure if he did play a sniper up against the execution game. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Ramon. But if Haj were to take on that mantle, I absolutely wouldn't mind it, seeing as he does love playing for contact. Dracifer not done picking up the highlights. He picks up a kill onto EV9, but Drones Reknart take the spotlight from him as they regain position in CB. But fact of the matter is, there's already one player creeping up to Lunt, and he's quick to shut him down.
Quickly making it a 2 or 3 versus 3 with 2 snipers coming down on the same area. Shock! It would have actually surprised Hodge, but he knew that he was coming all the way towards that stage spot and stealing the show away from the side of Veteran. D will get another one to force out a 1v3 for Reknart. He's trying to at least make this a close contest. He spots the kill over to D. And Lance will just end the life of Reknart. That is a nice shot coming through from the sniper. 2-1. And to answer your question, Dayton, Hodge did not play the sniper in the last game of Execration.
Yeah, there you go. That kind of makes sense, given that Lance, or rather, given that Hodge is filling in completely different boots in the form of MZ, but Lance will be playing just outside the bloom of the smoke in LA. But it's up against Reknart, who has the better angle. Throws out the HE, Lance has to back off, but he repeaks, and he will get punished for it. Come on, Lance. Can't play like that.
There's the confidence part coming up in the veteran games. Hodge with another over to drones as well. And it's kind of like FERVID playing positions that you don't normally see in normal games. They're pushing a bit too far for our likings as they do get themselves the kill over to Twintism. 4 versus 3. Water's control, definitely something the veteran can sink their teeth in, but FERVID with Dracifer and D on the spot, you can need a beautiful defense to try to hold up against the veteran players. A pistol in the hands of Dracifer, and he only has 2 in his face. Finally, they get the kill. Shock gets inside the site, but it is up against Hodge. And Hodge, he's fearless, but he has to fear up against Reknart. Gets the headshot. 1v1. And A7J will just slay the demon inside of House B. Reknart goes down. And it is another round for FERVID.
Yeah, and FERVID obviously still having a lot of fun with this matchup. You can see Hodge re-peeking with a Colt of all things, and still somehow making it work for FERVID. Luntz peeking again in the exact same angle he got caught in the last round, but this time he's got an HK. We'll be able to spot out Twintism. Can he hit the shots though? The answer is no. It's Shock to take him out. That's another round where Luntz is neutralized, but look at mid. S position for D, and that is the bomb that he sees. That's another kill for D, and that is almost a third, but Twintism shuts him down. Reset for Veteran.
Definitely the best thing that they're hoping for after the FERVID push. Here comes another one. As a veteran have no chance to breathe as Dracifer is already on the back of Reknart. Hodge want a shot again. And there is no time for a reset at all up against any team in the top 6. Veteran are just gonna get shut down with just 1 bullet. A7J will confirm that. 4-1 for FERVID as the lights are going out for Veteran every single round.
And it seems like they're not practicing any defaults or setups whatsoever. They're practicing their guns. It's the snipers. Lun's even contemplating picking up a Vepr. If you remember Impact 2025 from when Lun's even picked up a chainsaw and a Vepr. And I believe a Chris SMG as well, if I'm not mistaken. Or was that Ares? Not sure. Don't quote me on that. But for Vid, definitely no strangers to some interesting choices of weapons. But this time, he will stick to his signature TRG.
Right now, the question for FERVID is how many TRGs they're going to be able to bring to the table. If it's 3, yes. But depends. Is it going to be 3 or is it going to be 4? Because sometimes the HKs just single-handedly take out this defense. A7J only gets one over to Veteran. That will be the double push coming down to the short position. Hodge right behind enemy lines, and Drones expects this. Finally, with the Colt, he gets the kill. Into a 1 versus 2 up for Lance. And he's already struck the down over towards Drones with the C4 as well.
It's all up to Lance now. And he did see the bomb. He does see it still. So Veteran have to make the move on him. The only problem for Lance is EV9 is splitting up the map. Coming in from S. Lance might not expect, but he does have a chance to quick scope and then get the kill. Doesn't hit the shot. He has to back up, but Lance re-peeks, unknowing that EV9 is right there. Veteran finding the round. Actually playing that really well. The buddy system up against a sniper is precisely what you want to do in that scenario.
Strength in numbers for Veteran, as they really did need that to get themselves a push. And finally, Jones on the first kill. Lay down the law over to Lance, but Hodge again, the same position from the first round will be the first stopping point for Veteran as A7J is the second. 3 kills for A7J. And Hodge picking up the last kill is what you would want from your leader and your right-hand man. FERVID put a stopping point on that B-side push.
And Hodge peeking out the window over and over again has gotten him 10 kills, the most out of anyone in this game. And if you want to talk numbers, Hodge is pumping them up. Perhaps that's the reason why he's playing the sniper, showing us exactly what he's capable of. A very flexible player, but D don't need no flex, he's just gonna push. Jones is down, and again, bomb control is in D's hands. A Shock tries to push to LA, but Lance is just gonna say, no, 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 no entry, my boy.
Absolutely not. Similar scenes coming through from the B-side push, except it's on the other side of the map. And a sniper taking him down. D as well on the headshot. He's just going to try to confirm that C4. Wrap around that LE position. EV9 looking at the wrong direction. And for D, it's just going to be pure headshots. Pure gunplay for him. 3 kills for D. And for FERVID, it's the 6th round.
Oh, Veteran actually is forced to pick up 3 snipers for themselves, but it don't matter for Hodge, because he still picks up drones first. It doesn't matter for D either. He's pushing. This time towards LB, where there is EV9 holding, and he is not expected by CROSSFIRE, going a little bit too deep. 3v4, and D will avenge his teammate for now. EV9 is down, so is D, as Hodge picks up his second of the round, still racking up the kills, but it goes a little bit too deep in mid. Now the hunt continues for FERVID. Luns will be striking, and Twintism will go down 7-2. That's the score for FERVID.
Kind of like what we saw coming through from the sub-base game as well. They had a period where they're trying to play default in the first round, and then once the second round came, it's just all-out chaos for the FERVID roster. The question, whether they're going to be using this game as a tune-up in a sense that they're going to make this Hodge player comfortable, yes. The goal has already been applied. But in a way that they're going to use this sort of performance up against any other team, I doubt that, because you're not going to be expecting 5 TRGs pushing out of spawn in the Black Widow map as early as the first round, right? It's definitely a FERVID that want to claim this map as their own, but not in this sense where they're all really aggressive at the get-go. We did see from Execration that they took a little bit of time before they could set up their positions in the GR side. So I doubt anybody can use this map as a sort of way to kind of counter-strat up against FERVID. Because what they're doing outside the GR side is no strats given. They're just pushing every single lane possible. And hope that something sticks to the wall. And 99% of the time, it has for the side of FERVID.
Veteran putting the time out here in halftime is not something you see a lot of, Ramon. I didn't know you could actually do this. But apparently you can, Veteran. Usually teams take the time in halftime to talk anyway, so this is sort of like extending the halftime break here, and you could definitely see Reknart, Twintism very vocal in terms of finding leeway perhaps up against FERVID, but their faces do not strike confidence in me, Ramon. They kind of look more worried than anything, and I would be too, because when you're facing up against a team that's picking up 5 sniper rifles and it's working, you know you've got a problem.
Maybe after this timeout, we see 7 straight coming through from Veteran. Maybe. In a different universe altogether, right? But maybe in this universe, we'll see that come to fruition. If Veteran get the right words and the right call to kind of lock out FERVID, who has been pushing a little bit too far in a lot of their boundaries as well. So we'll see how it goes. 7-2 for FERVID. They're going to start on the BL side this time. Reknart gets the kill over to DL. A little bit too aggressive over towards that S position. A7J spots out Shock, takes him down with 1, and the second eventually from the HK. This is FERVID just laying their names all over this Black Widow map. So force out Reknart in a 1v4, but I don't think there is a world in the clutches.
Reknart is just gonna miss. In the face of CROSSFIRE pressuring him, it's as dark as it can get. It is absolutely black for Veteran here in Widow, as it is FERVID 6 rounds up ahead. On the BL, on the GR, it doesn't matter. FERVID are going to push. And Lance just taking the widest angle possible in HM, and he catches VV9. Perhaps gonna catch Shock as well. dodges the bullet, barely twinties him. He'll be the one to shut down D. Shock coming in from mid-door. Catching out Kaj for now for Vid. Threading a little bit too carelessly. But it don't matter for CROSSFIRE. He's got the sniper in his hand. He's pushing towards B. Up against the first window. He's gonna miss twice in a row. But CROSSFIRE is unfazed. He's gonna try nonetheless on this 1v3, Ramon.
We respect for Veteran. They made adjustments in how they approach their mid-side push as well as House B. But for CROSSFIRE, there's no adjustment from how they double peeked on down to the window spot. That is Veteran fighting back. And you can gotta respect the adjustment that they made, right? Instead of trying to take control of waters directly with their bodies, they hold down an angle to try to stop the first push coming. As well as that S spot where you gotta notice that A7J needed that sort of adjustment to push on in. Reknar, there's no adjustment needed for this guy. The TRG is singing on his faces and even gets the 3K. Okay, Reknar, you are cooking. 2 versus 5. Veteran have control over the site, and Reknar makes it 4. A rare occurrence coming through for Reknar. He wants to take over all 4 players and make it 5 to get the ace for this matchup.
3 snipers, but it's only Reknar doing all the work here for Veteran. 4 kills, hunting for the 5th. And A7J is a slimy snail. Stuck in underneath the shell of Teres. And Reknar is hungry. He's got time to work this map. And look at Veteran, Ramon. They're swarming the C4, but A7J is nowhere near it.
We've seen them do miraculous things with an HK before, but this time it's not going to be or anything for A7J. Nothing like the sub-base game that we saw from him, but definitely is a fight coming through for Veteran. It's a 4-2-8 to their scoreline. Another attempt at trying to control that frame spot. Lands with a pixel angle. Perfection onto Reknar. Hungry for more. Lance is peeking into them one by one single-handedly. FERVID want to end this right here, right now.
Wait.
And with CROSSFIRE already in the site, they're just going to punch on EV9. They have no choice but to give the site up. Twintes is going to come up to the short position and takes down CROSSFIRE finally. 3 versus 2.
That's the most disrespectful entry from CROSSFIRE, but Twintes even more disrespect on the name of FERVID. 2 kills for Twintes, and all of a sudden, FERVID have fallen apart. D will be taken through the smoke. A little bit too many shenanigans for FERVID. They make a mess out of this round, and Veteran will make the most. 5-8. Veteran strike back.
That's 3 straight for Veteran at this point. And how well they're able to hold down that short spot as well as Twintism. Pick up 9 kills all throughout this second half is a beautiful thing to see. Just need that consistency all out. But Hodge striking them from the LA position. FERVID making Veteran taste the victory in the last few rounds that we've seen. But with a 3K from CROSSFIRE, they're back in the nightmare that they've been dreaming of. 9-5 series point for FERVID.
And just when Veteran was starting to fly, FERVID just pulls him down to the ground and reminds him of who's boss here in Black Widow. CROSSFIRE with another nasty entry here. This is disrespect on all 4 faces, all 4 legs. CROSSFIRE takes out Reknar. He will get punished for his sins, but Hodge is right here. Like the demon to CROSSFIRE's angel, he is here to reap the rewards of his counterpart's sins, and he will cement his name on the FERVID roster. Picks out 3, and that's Hodge to close out Black Widow for FERVID. That's it. It's done.
Hodge signs it and makes it official with the blood of his enemies. That he is the last thing that FERVID needs to become a championship winning team. A 2-0 for FERVID as they come out of the group stages with one hell of a bang. 5 TRGs on the GR side and pushing on all sides of the map. That is definitely not what we're going to be expecting in the playoffs, but one thing's for sure. Black Widow for FERVID, with how well they faced up against Execration in the last bout, as well as how clean this was here on the side of Veteran. I feel like FERVID are going to be a very dangerous enemy to come up in the playoffs.
Absolutely. Ramon, although I will give you this. I mean, we did say that it did not look like FERVID were practicing any setups or any new weaponry I did see a glimpse of Haj picking up something new. And it might actually be something that FERVID are fancying a chance at. It's something that Virtus Pro have somewhat perfected with KSA. FERVID might just be starting to doing that in the playoffs. I might just want to keep an eye out on the weaponry choices here for Haj and the rest of the FERVID roster. If you're thinking of what I'm saying here, just rewind the VOD a little bit and look at that one round where Haj picked up a certain rifle that we haven't seen from him in any of the days he's played so far. So FERVID, I see you. I see what you're trying to do here.
I mean, there's definitely going to be a bit of a spotlight on Haj once we get into the playoffs, because for sure this win has solidified them definitely a good spot over to our top 6 in coming to the playoffs as well. But for me, I believe it'll take a little bit more time before FERVID shows that they are Einsteins in this roster move. Now that they don't have MZ in the formula, but with this win against Veteran, I think it's safe to say that the spirits are high with this FERVID roster, and it just continues to be as exciting as ever. But for Veteran, the exit for here has come to a close right now. With this loss, I believe this is another official loss in for Rosea as a region, and hopefully we do see them come back stronger as we also prepare ourselves for the next coming event after the playoffs. But again, high spirits for both teams, a lot to come out with good things overall, and for FERVID, they're the ones to stand tall above all. But for now, me and Datum are going to throw it over to the panel, so Mochi and Salvatore, take this away.
Thank you, Ramon, and as well as Datum. And I couldn't help but agree with some sentiments from Datum him. They might be preparing and Frankensteining something, and we might see that onto the playoffs. But other than that, Salvatore, I feel like this has already been quite of an expectation here for FERVID in the map of Black Widow. Other than the fact that here for Veteran, I feel like there were some glimpses and some moments where they're putting FERVID in a bit too high of a regard, to the point they're losing a grip into a lot of our rounds here.
Yeah, ever heard of the whole saying, Mochi, fortune favors the bold? I feel like, FERVID has been fortunate enough to be, a team that has like bold tactics inside of Black Widow, it's going really wild when Dracifer is entering House B on his own with a USP. No support, no util whatsoever. So that has to be like some sort of a revival here for FERVID when it comes to their firepower, because they needed this game. Honestly, the past 2 days have been, the past 2 weeks rather, have not been really good here for FERVID after dropping games left and right to Stallions and Acceptance. I feel like with the series yesterday to Execration, though it may be like a losing effort, and also for like a gameplay that resonated a lot of the strengths of FERVID, but still lost. But with the W right now up against Veteran, it really ignited some sort of strength here for FERVID, that they can have like the most silliest of strats, but their gunplay makes up for it. Oh, wait, that has to be Ubik Maniac of 2024. So, FERVID, they have to tap that potential, Mochi. They have this sort of identity. They can shoot back. They have like the most amazing tactics, because the 300 IQ of A7J, not 100, not 200, but 300 IQ of A7J, all these rotations work because of A7J. And also, they make up for the fact that they are revolved around... they make up for the roster of Dracifer, D, and as well as Haj, who are pure aimers by nature. So if that formula is going to be what we are going to see inside of playoffs, I'm seeing FERVID making a deep run. But enough of that, I'm seeing some potential here for Veteran to be able to qualify once again for Regionals Path 2026. Hopefully. And I hope that is the case, Mochi. They did it on spring, they did it on summer. Why don't make your burr months really, really productive here, Veteran? Because, we're still seeing some flashes of greatness here for Reknart and as well as Fires. There is that kind of a glaring identity here for the side of Veteran that they can make this year worthwhile for them. The experience might be a good teacher, but matches will do make up for the whole completion of Veteran being the best team here in C Masters. But we would be hoping to see that here in the near future, as in a losing effort. Twentism drops 19 against FERVID. I feel like that's something that you can boast about.
Exactly. Especially that they did a bit more improvements and better here in the map of Black Widow in comparison to what we have in Subbase earlier on. Maybe just crediting the usual habitat here for Vid. But other than that, though, well played here for Tuntisim alongside with Reknard. I do think that there are some moments wherein Tuntisim and Reknard hasn't been able to support the other members here. Maybe I'm not sure if it's a lack of communication or more of a disorientation here because of all of the things that Haj is throwing onto them, given that 18, 8, and 7 KD and 100% rating, alongside with how Dracifer just basically let himself loose here in the map of Black Widow alongside with the rest of our members. There's just something with A7J being able to intertwine the strings into a neatly made braid, and it's just something, as you have mentioned here, that should be sought after and be careful about once that we see FERVID here onto our playoffs. But our MVP for this time around will be none other than this guy. Had our former 6-man now here in the main lineup that we have here against FERVID with a 2.25 KD. Seems pretty much been able to just show that he can fill up the shoes that's been taken away from Woos here.
Yeah, the Philippines is blessed by a lot of 6-mans who are really good in the battlefield. To name a few, we have someone like Dolph, someone like X3D, and now Hodge. Honestly, Hodge has been on the sideline for like the first 4 weeks of competition, but kind of feels like he already has the veteran mindset that he can go toe to toe with at least anyone, Mochi, because that series against Execration really proved to be a good one here for Hodge, and even better up against Veteran with an amazing stat line to cap off Black Widow as something that FERVID will absolutely use as material for the playoffs. So yeah, congratulations here for FERVID, but we hope to see more of Veteran as the days go by, because there is still one league that awaits Veteran that hopes that they will become their potential, that one skill that they will be able to develop, that is the team play.
Yep, and speaking of lead, who is the leading player here for FERVID for the entirety of this matchup? It is Dracifer, where ironically, before, there is someone who said that Dracifer is falling off, quote unquote, but I guess not in this story, as he's been able to rack up this type of performance time and time again. And I feel like Dracifer remains one of the underrated players, in my opinion, here for FERVID, and I feel like he isn't taking or he isn't getting the support and as well as recognition as much as the other players. Meanwhile, he is also deserving of just that. But congratulations for Dracer for being able to take this title, and I hope that we can see more once we step into playoffs next week.
Yeah. Amazing gameplay here for our man of the hour here for this series, because Dracer as someone who has been a player that gets by a lot of people. When they hear the word Dracifer, it just feels like he's really good. But this year there has to be something special about Dracifer in the year of 2026, because with multiple set MVPs, amazing headshot percentage, and an impact that could really be so heavy in the Richter scale, there is something that Dracifer can really give to a team, and I feel like that is leadership. Leadership comes a long way, and Dracifer has that dog in him that he could lead a team to victory. Amazing efforts being seen from the series against Virtus Pro and as well as Team Stallions, where Dracifer was indeed the highlight reel. It really comes up to the idea that Dracifer is not only just a player that is in the team, he's also a brother to the many members here of FERVID. So very much, very much appreciated here by his teammates that Dracifer is that one kind of a player and as well as a teammate.
And also kind of one of the key elements in order to cook up something in every single round that we have here along the way. So I also do think that there is already a chance for us to hear from them. So now we can return to our usual, Magtagalog na tayo ngayon dahil i-welcome natin dito si Dracifer sa ating interview desk as our match MVP ng FERVID. Kasi babe, 27 kills na naman ang kanya nakuha dito, Hello, Boss Dracifer!
Hello.
Congratulations for taking that title, Grabe naman talaga. And I do think na meron tayong mga question dito, na ilalapag namin sa iyo ni Salvatore. So, Salvatore, umpisahan mo na.
Alright, Boss Dacifer, no? Congratulations for making it dito sa ating playoff bracket, no? So, seeded na nga ngayon si FERVID. Pero kasi, nung maalala nga natin, there was a bit of a hindrance nung kalaban nyo nga ang Team Stallions during spring. Pero now, kung nakikita nyo na ang forma ng Team Stallions and as well as Virtus Pro, dumagdag pa ang execration dito. Ngayon, FERVID, makakapasok na nga ang playoffs. Anong klaseng FERVID ang pwede naming makita at anong postura ng FERVID para makapasok ng EWC?
Yung siguro makita niyo yung final form namin siguro as team. More on team play na kami.
Team play. Alright, Mochi, yung hina-highlight talaga natin sa FERVID matagal na no? Pero feeling ko meron ng merong pagbabago na malakas na nakikita natin sa FERVID. Ikaw, Mochi, baka may tanong ka.
Yeah, I feel like I could agree on that one, no? Especially na si Had siyang nandito ngayon sa kanilang roster, no? Dracifer, I feel like nagkaroon tayo ng adjustments on the fly, no? Na hindi maiiwasan, especially against execration from yesterday's match. Well, ano kaya ang pagfo-focusan natin now that we're already having Hads dito sa ating roster ngayon?
Mag-adjust lang, parang hihintay lang namin, magpapractice na kami na makuha ni Hadj yung tempo tsaka yung adjustment ng role niya. Yun lang.
Okay.
Alright.
It's a good foolproof plan naman, no? Simple as that, no? Para dito kay Dracifer. Any additional questions here, Salvatore?
Lalo't na sa usapan na nga tayo ni Hadj, no? Dracifer, follow-up ko lang din. Ngayon, si Hadj na yung magiging main man nyo heading forward to the playoffs kung kailan na talagang napaka-crucial pa ng mga magiging matches, no? Napasok pa si Hadj dun sa execration. Ngayon, ipapasok nyo na nga siya sa playoffs. Matanong ko lang, no? Ano yung parang pinagkaiba ni MZ bilang player, no? Na yun na pinagtatawag nyo nga siya, no? Bilang backup player. Ngayon si Hadj, eto na, nasa main roster nyo na. So ano yung parang pinagkaiba in terms of impact ni MZ bilang isang team player kumpara dito kay Hadj na team player din naman?
Si Hadj, mas mabilis siya kumpara kay MC. Ayun lang. Yung bilis lang ng galaw nila.
Bilis. Reactions, no, Mochi, kumbaga. And lalo na rin, no, sa meta ngayon, napakahalaga ng reaction tsaka bilis
Yeah, which also correlates dun sa sinabi din ni Dracifer kanina, no, yung pag-adjust sa tempo at galawan nila dito, pacing kumbaga sa kanilang team. So, Dracifer, no, again, congratulations. We're definitely looking forward sa inyong final form, ika mo nga, no, papunta sa ating playoffs. Well, the floor is yours and pwede mo nang i-shoutout ang mga gusto mong i-shoutout.
Shoutout sa family ko na laging sumusuporta sa akin. Sa girlfriend ko, kay Boss Allen Wap, tapos sa Obra family. Thank you po. Yan lang.
Yun. At maraming salamat din sa'yo. Congratulations, no? And good luck sa ating mga laban next week.
Thank you po.
Alright, and we see it does appear, no, dito for FERVID, despite the changes natin nila dito, it seems like they're having quite a steady sail towards that goal in terms of form na meron tayo dito sa kanila, no? And mukha namang okay ang ating nagiging performance dito for FERVID so far, although there were still some question marks all over the way, lalong-lalo na after na nagantihan sila dito, no, ng execration yesterday.
Lalo-lalo na rin, no, na FERVID, there is a bit of a saltiness, no, sa kanilang panlasa after dumikit lang talaga nila. Dumikit lang sila sa execration rather. Kasi medyo mabigat yun, no, Mochi. Isipin mo New Mexico, ang tanging ginawa lang ng execration timeout. Tapos nakakuha na sila ng dalawang magkakasunod. To understand even further gaano ba kalapit yung laban na yun, Mochi. Alam mo ba, 2 rounds lang ang pinakamalaking lamang ng execration at FERVID laban sa isa't isa. So alam mo talaga na balance yung matchup. Alam mo nagpapalitan lang sila ng playstyle. Depende na lang talaga kung ano yung magiging outcome natin. And marami tayong napulot doon sa FERVID. Hadj has been a very, very good player for the past 2 days, no? Parang nagkakaroon siya ng sarili niyang version ng Linsanity. Pangalawa, A7J is now making very comfortable calls. Alam mo, nagpi-freestyle talaga siya. Alam mo talaga na draw niya sa utak niya kasi yung pinag-practice niya laban dito sa ilalaro niya sa professional play, alam mo may onting adjustment no. Like, or kung wala mang adjustment, alam mo talaga na kahit sa scrim, meron talagang ginagawa si A7J na pagluluto na talagang mabubusog ang lahat na nanonood, pati na nga rin yung mga kakampi niyang makikinabang. Amazing gameplay here for FERVID. Nakaka-excite nga naman makita tong playoffs nga natin. Pero kasi Mochi, no, mamaya pa natin makikita yung finalization ng ating playoffs bracket kasi meron pa tayong El Clasico na inaabangan.
Yes, and everyone has their eyes on both of these teams. No, ironically, both teams sharing the same color, but different mascots, no? Ano nga ba ang panama ng mga kabayo against sa mga oso, no? Ayan ang aabangan natin maya-maya at kung mag-shift ba ang ating top ng food chain later on. But by the way, guys, singit lang natin, no? Before tayo mag-head sa kanilang laban, meron tayong hot takes na ilalabas mamaya. So, be sure na antabayanan ninyo yan kasi mamaya, nandyan pala ang iyong comment. So, for now, no, tayo ay magpapaalam muna at mamaya magbabalik tayo muli for hot takes and afternoon tapatan ng Team Stallions and as well as Virtus Pro.